All my life, I think I've been worried about the fact that we really don't talk to children much about values. If we talk to them about values, we talk to them in terms of religion. And that have its good side and may have its bad side. But right now, what we're not talking about is the fact that we have a composite culture. And this composite culture requires us to not just be tolerant of each other, but to understand that even when we feel that other people are not the same as us, there's still some adjustment and some room to be made. And so I kept trying to wonder how could one do this without actually waving a finger at a child and saying you must be tolerant, you must be inclusive, you must be this, you must be that, because this is how we generally talk values to kids. So I thought a good way to do it would be to shift the locus from the human world into the animal world, and casting around for an idea when it occurred to me that crows are a possibility. Because for one thing, crows are extremely xenophobic. If a crow, is ill, other crows will attack and kill it just to get it out of the way. So a group of crows together is called a murder. It doesn't get more sort of violent than that. And so I decided I would start with this idea that a crow one day has this dream that her baby is going to be born white. And if the baby is going to be born white, all the other crows are going to attack it and kill it. So what is she going to do? And so she goes about asking questions. What is crowness? What is color? What does color matter to a bird? What does color matter to a human being for that matter? Does it matter if you're white? Does it matter if you're black? That sort of thing. That's where the thing originated. I started from the beginning with the idea that it should be a graphic novel because I believe that I spent my childhood reading comics. And I read comics because that was what interested me. I wanted to see pictures and I wanted to see words at the same time. And I believe that there's a certain point in your life when people start telling you that comics are for children and you should start reading adult books, but the love of comics continues as an undercurrent in your life, and it has continued in mine. It's just that adult comics, we call them graphic novels, and we sort of build up this idea that we are doing something really cool and smart, but actually it's just comics. And when I finally finished this book, I sent it to 2 or 3 publishers, and Scholastic was good enough to see that there was a possibility of making it into a book, because everyone else wanted it to be a short story because the script itself isn't very long. The words are not, there aren't that many words in the book. But I was very clear that I wanted it to be a book. Scholastic found Garima Gupta, and Garima Gupta did some illustrations. I had a few suggestions because I generally agreed with what she had done. I felt that it was challenging as a visual. The book is challenging. It's a dynamic book that requires you, the reader and a parent, to sit together and decipher what is going on, to look carefully at ways in which representation is happening on the page. For instance, there's one page where the sound of crows comes into the bedroom at night, and she's represented as this flow of crows coming across 2 pages onto a very small child in a corner. And I thought that was a very vibrant and vigorous way of turning my words into images. And this, I think, is the function of a graphic novel. The illustrator in a graphic novel must bring another set of stories, another set of details, another way of looking into the story. It can't be just an illustration of the words, because then that gets boring and tiresome and repetitious and routine. It must be something vibrant and alive and active, and it must add to the story. It can't possibly just be, that word, this picture as a kind of equity. See, I think, our idea of children's book fiction has been created by a certain look and feel that has been determined by the nursery, that it is, bright colors, flat layouts, don't play with text, don't play with textures, make it clear, make it simple. Sure, no issues. That's your kind of doing. I believe children can do a lot more with their heads. They can make imaginative leaps. And if you want to develop a child with an interesting aesthetic, you cannot keep offering them this pablum. You cannot keep offering them these flat nursery colors and these unchallenging look so that everything is explained to you. Allow space for the child to come in and experience the joy of discovering what a picture means, of discovering what it means by looking carefully, because that is the starting of the appreciation of art. That is where art appreciation begins, because art is about being challenged. Art is about entering the space and saying, what does this picture mean to me? Not what does this picture mean, or what did the artist mean, because those are independent questions. What modern art does is asks you this question, what does it mean to you? Children find their own level like water. Every reader, in fact, finds her own level, and it is complete imaginary to assume that we have one level in our lives, that I am a 46-year-old today, so I only like this kind of book. I don't. I sometimes like to read Archie comics, and sometimes I like to read Tintin, and sometimes I like to read, the Bible. And so what is the Bible? Only meant for adults or only meant for children? And if it is meant for everybody, then hey, why can't every book be meant for everybody?